On February 16, 2026, 4 consecutive Life Force experiment draws were conducted under the SHIELD 10.3 Lambda protocol. 4 questions. 400 verses drawn at random from a corpus of over 32,000. And across all 4 draws, the guidance detection indicator registered the same verdict: extreme anomaly. The probability of these patterns occurring by chance? Less than 1 in 10 trillion. This is not a sermon, this is not opinion. This is what the mathematics said when the questions were asked. And what the mathematics said tells a story. A story about fire, about signs in the heavens, about the binding of the adversary, and about the rising of the Segullah from the dust. Before we examine the 4 draws, a brief word on the method. The SHIELD 10.3 Lambda protocol is a systematic framework for biblical text analysis. A question is asked. Keywords are pre-registered and locked before the draw begins, creating a scientific prediction that cannot be altered after the fact. Then 100 verses are drawn at random from the UTV corpus, over 32,000 verses spanning the Masoretic text, the Septuagint witnesses, and the Ethiopian Enochic literature. The draw is then analyzed through multiple independent statistical channels. The guidance detection indicator uses Fisher combined probability to determine whether the marker patterns in the drawn verses could plausibly have occurred by chance. The Dominion triad measures the convergence of identity, inheritance, and priesthood markers. The polarity balance index determines whether the overall tone leans toward covenant affirmation or cautionary warning. And the Segullah protocol provides an independent conscience confirmation. Every marker must survive the Benjamini-Hochberg false discovery rate correction, the gold standard in statistical testing for eliminating false positives. What survives this correction is real. The first question asked, does the Lord confirm that the present season reflects the Joel 2.3 pattern, fire and desolation preceding Edenic restoration? And is this sequence now active for the Segullah? The lead verse came from the Book of Kingdoms, the assassination of the Assyrian king Sennacherib, struck down by his own sons while worshiping in the house of his false god. The foundational premise was set from the first verse: sudden, catastrophic judgment upon idolatrous systems. The statistical results were staggering. All 12 markers survived FDR correction. The guidance detection indicator returned a Fisher chi-square of 234.15 with a p-value of 1.29 times 10 to the negative 14th power. The Dominion triad registered at 1174 standard deviations above baseline, but the content of the verses spoke even louder than the numbers. Isaiah declared, "I have chosen you in the furnace of affliction." Matthew warned, "Except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved alive." The Book of the 12 confirmed, "The fire will devour your city gates." 5 of 5 pre-registered criteria found substantive textual contact. The Father was confirming, the Joel 2.3 pattern is fully active. We are in the fire, but the fire has purpose. It is a refining furnace for the Segullah and a consuming flame for the systems of Babylon. The second question asked whether comet maps would serve as a heavenly sign, a visible celestial witness in April 2026, confirming prophetic timing for the Segullah deliverance season. The lead verse came from 2 Corinthians, and it surprised. It did not speak of comets or stars. It spoke of character, as unknown and yet well known. As dying, and behold, we live. As having nothing, and still possessing all things. The Father's first word was about the condition of the witnesses, not the mechanics of the sign. Then Genesis verse 8:40 delivered the most striking pre-registration hit of the entire series. This is none other but the house of Elohim, and this is the stargate of the cosmos. The pre-registered keyword cosmos appeared as a direct lexical hit in the context of Jacob's Bethel vision, the place where heaven's threshold opens onto earth. The Dominion Triad reached its highest signal of all four draws, 14.75 standard deviations, with priesthood markers at 177% and Segullah density at 158%. The guidance detection indicator registered extreme anomaly at a p-value of 8.40 times 10 to the negative 11th. All four pre-registered criteria found textual grounding. The Ephesians revelation about the hidden thing being unveiled provided the theological key. A comet visible to all nations would function as universal disclosure, a sign requiring no translation, no institutional mediation, no gatekeeping. But the lead verse insisted, the sign is only legible to those whose character has been forged in the paradox of faithfulness. The third question asked whether the celestial passage of comet maps through the constellation Cetus, the sea monster, represents the restraining of the adversary, opening a window of restoration as described in Acts chapter 3. The lead verse opened with a benediction, "Grace to you and peace from Elohim our Father." The Father speaks shalom before the battle report, and then the corpus delivered. Revelation verse 3-141. And there came to be war in the heaven, Michael and his messengers to make war with the dragon. And the dragon made war, and his messengers, and he did not prevail, neither was place found for them any longer in the heaven. In a draw asking about the restraining of the adversary, the corpus returned the foundational passage on the dragon's expulsion from the heavens. This is not peripheral. This is the archetype itself. 1 Enoch verse 1603 added the binding language with extraordinary precision. A severe sentence has gone forth against you to put you in bonds. The Passover pattern in Exodus provided the original restraining paradigm. YHWH will not permit the destroyer to come into your houses. This was the only draw to achieve full Selah confirmation, all three conscience checks returning yes. The inner confirmation was unanimous. The adversary is being restrained, and the restraining opens a season of rest for the Segullah. But Hosea chapter 3 provided the timing framework. Afterward, the children of Israel will return and seek YHWH their Elohim in the latter days. The restoration comes after. The affliction precedes the refreshing, just as the Passover lamb precedes the Exodus. The fourth and final question asked whether the compensation, vindication, and public rising of the Segullah is now at the threshold. Is the season of hiddenness ending and the season of manifestation beginning? The lead verse came from Lamentations, and it came with raw power. Return us back, O HWH, unto yourself, and we will come back. Renew our days, as of old. This is the cry at the turning point, the moment the hidden one calls out from the lowest place, and the Father hears. What followed was extraordinary. The LXX enhanced variant of Deuteronomy 32:43 appeared in the second draw position, one of only 18 such verses in the entire corpus of over 32,000. Its probability of appearing by chance is 0.055%. It declared, "He will avenge the blood of his servants, and will render vengeance to his adversaries, and YHWH will cleanse the land of his people." The Psalms declared, "He raises up the poor out of the dust and lifts the needy out of the dunghill." The Chronicles promised riches and wealth and honor such as none of the kings have had before. The Genesis Joseph narrative recalled the archers who shot at him, the prototype of the hidden one raised to power. This draw achieved a perfect 5 of 5 pre-registration sweep and 12 of 12 FDR survival, the strongest possible validation signal. But the cautionary PBI and the James rebuke, "You have not because you ask not," insisted that the threshold is crossed by petition, not presumption. The Gideon paradox said it most clearly. The army must be reduced until only divine agency can account for the victory. The season of hiddenness is not punishment. It is the necessary precondition for a vindication that cannot be attributed to human effort. 4 draws, 400 verses, 4 questions tracing a single prophetic arc, and the mathematics spoke with unified voice. The fire of Joel 2:3 is active. The heavens are opening as a gate. The adversary is being bound. And the Segullah stands at the threshold of manifestation. But every draw in the series insisted on one thing. The posture matters. The lead verse of the final draw is not a declaration. It is a prayer. "Return us back, O Yahweh, unto yourself, and we will come back. Renew our days as of old." The combined Fisher-Chi-square statistics across all 4 draws represent a cumulative anomaly signal that is, by any standard statistical measure, irreconcilable with unguided random selection. The pre-registration performance stands at 19 of 21 criteria hit. The Dominion Triad blazed at nearly 15 standard deviations in its peak draw. The fire is real. The sign is coming. The adversary is restrained, and the hidden one will rise. But first, the prayer. "Return us back, O Yahweh, unto yourself, and we will come back."